Welcome back. The day has arrived. Tomorrow is Election Day. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris spent their weekends campaigning in battleground states over the weekend. Trump in North Carolina warning voters of what a Harris victory could bring. Watch.
If Kamala wins, you are 3 days away from the start of a 1929-style economic depression. I believe that. If I win, you are 3 days away from the best jobs, the biggest paychecks, the brightest economic future that the world has ever seen.
Joining me now is Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty, a member of the Senate Banking, Housing and Urban Affairs, Foreign Relations and Appropriations Committee. Senator, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So you heard what President Trump said, trashing Kamala's policies on the economy. Is this largely economic, or are there other policies we need to be comparing?
Well, the economic policies of this administration under Kamala Harris have been an absolute disaster for America. If you look at it, 72% of American people think that this country is on the wrong track. And the number one issue, Maria, is the fact that real wages have gone down. Inflation has destroyed and devastated families here in America. And I think the only thing keeping the market up right now is the anticipation and, frankly, the sheer hope that President Trump gets reelected on Tuesday. And I can tell you, I was out campaigning with J.D. Vance yesterday in North Carolina. We ended the night in Philadelphia. The energy and the enthusiasm is on our side. I'll be with President Trump today in Reading. I'll be there this evening in Pittsburgh with President Trump. You can just feel it right now. The market's anticipated, I think. The public needs it. We need President Trump back in office for our economy to get back on track.
Well, Trump has been able to cut into lots of Democrat stronghold positions, right? You've got black men, you've got Hispanics, and even the Arab American community seems to be getting behind Trump. I spoke with the mayor of Hamtramck, Michigan, yesterday, Amr Ghalib, and here's what he told me about his endorsement of President Trump. Watch.
The priority for us at this time is accomplishing ceasefire and peace, bringing peace to the Middle East. Kamala Harris has been in the office for the past 3 years, and during the whole year of war in the Middle East, I supported the uncommitted movement in Michigan to send a strong message to the current administration to take our concerns into consideration, but nothing was happening. In fact, they completely neglected us, and negligence became the norm, and everything else is an exception. She added insult to the wound by appointing some pro-war radicals like Liz Cheney to be her top military advisors.
So, I mean, that was Mayor Ghalib who said when he saw Liz Cheney on the campaign trail, that was all he needed to confirm he was not going with them. And for him, it's about foreign policy, not necessarily economic policy, Senator.
Well, if you look at the foreign policy of this administration, it's absolutely pathetic. Under President Trump, we had no wars. Under Biden and Harris, this has been a complete disaster. It goes back to the failed withdrawal from Afghanistan, where Kamala Harris was the, quote, last voice in the room. That was an absolute disgrace and a disaster that embarrassed our nation like nothing in our lifetimes, Maria. And that invited and precipitated, I think, and emboldened our adversaries around the world. You look at what happened with Iran. The day that this administration came into office, they stopped enforcing sanctions against Iran. I worked very closely with President Trump and in his administration to impose maximum sanctions on Iran, to put maximum pressures on them to get our allies to stop buying oil from Iran. It worked. What we did was we made Iran basically broke. We stopped the funding of Hamas, stopped the funding of Hezbollah. The Houthis had no funds. We saw peace break out in the Middle East. President Trump was able to move our embassy to Jerusalem. He was able to take out Soleimani and al-Baghdadi. He even did the Abraham Accords, which was the foundation, I think, of peace and prosperity in the Middle East. Iran could do nothing about it. As soon as Biden comes into office, as soon as Harris comes into office, they start allowing the funds to flow, and we have, terrible wars outbreaking in the Middle East.
Well, I mean, look, for Mayor Ghalib, Amr Ghalib from Hamtramck, Michigan, to him, he saw Liz Cheney as a warmonger, and he wants peace in the Middle East. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris seems to be campaigning with different messages, depending on who she's talking to, on the Israel-Hamas war. I mean, depending on which state she's in, according to a report from CNN, the ads are completely different. You've got ads running in Pennsylvania that highlight how she's going to, quote, stand up for Israel's right to defend itself. And then you go and you watch her campaigning in Michigan, completely different story. She says, of course, Michigan has a large Arab-American population, as you just heard from the mayor of Hamtramck. And she highlights there how, quote, she will not be silent about the human suffering occurring in Gaza. So, Senator, I mean, I don't think you could have it both ways on this.
Well, she wants to. It's a complete lack of integrity. And if you talk about having it both ways, we have seen her flip-flop on every major policy. It's like an avatar, Maria. The media have helped support this. Again, the partisan media, not yourself, have helped support creation of a candidate that's nowhere close to where Kamala Harris from San Francisco, the most liberal senator in the United States Senate, has been for her entire political career. Now they're trying to create something entirely different, entirely false. They'll send one message into Michigan. They'll send a completely different message into Pennsylvania to try to appeal to Jewish voters. I think the American public can see right through this. She is two-faced, has no integrity, and the American public, I think, will speak loudly on Election Day.
Well, I mean, look, now Iran is warning that it could possibly change its current nuclear policy and produce nuclear weapons, quote, if an existential threat arises. Tehran's supreme leader has vowed a tooth-breaking response. That's a quote. He said it, tooth-breaking response against Israel and the United States, Senator. Your thoughts on what we should expect from Iran here and how Kamala Harris would deal with it?
Well, I remind you, we wouldn't be in a position for Iran to respond at all were President Trump in office, because we brought Iran to its knees. That's got to happen again. If Kamala Harris gets into office, I think Iran is going to have free range to do whatever they want to do, because they're going to continue to allow Iran to bring billions of dollars in. They're going to continue to allow them to pump. They're going to continue to allow Iran to sell weapons to Russia. Iran has had free reign under Kamala Harris. And at the same time, you see her bringing in people like Liz Cheney, others that all want to see, war break out in the Middle East. I think what we've got to do is look directly at what the past has shown us. We've got a track record with President Trump that has delivered peace and prosperity. We've got a track record with Kamala Harris that has delivered nothing but agony and war in the Middle East and around the world.
What do you think is the most important policy change that needs to be made should Trump return to the White House on foreign policy, Senator?
Well, for me, Maria, our foreign policy is derived directly from the strength of our economy. We have the most amazing, the most prosperous economy in the world. Access to that economy is absolutely critical. President Trump understands that. Let's get our economy moving again. That's what the people of America need to see. We need to see security at our southern border. We have a national security risk like we've never seen before.
Yes,
no one's better than you in reporting on this. But then we've got to turn around and deal with strength and credibility with our adversaries. No one in the world believes that Kamala Harris can deal with Vladimir Putin, can deal with Xi Jinping, can deal with the Ayatollah. She has no credibility whatsoever. President Trump has and will.
All right, Senator, we'll leave it there. We'll be watching all of this, obviously, down to the wire. Good to see you. Senator Bill Hagerty joining us this morning in Tennessee. Thank you, sir. A quick break, and then President